Oh, Maria, it was so good to see you back on my screen again. I have been an OG Wizards fan. It's the first show I kind of felt represented by. I'm half Latina, half Italian, so it was like my perfect storm with that show. And I really, it really having the show back kind of feels like I'm getting my childhood back in my adult years, which is amazing. And thank you so much for getting the time to speak with me. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I feel the same way. I'm thrilled to be back.
Right? It's so nice to be back. And that's kind of where I wanted to start with you.
Hmm.
Obviously, we not only get you back in this episode, but we get David as well. The two of you together is just magic. Can you tell me about that first moment on set and what it felt like for you?
Well, it felt like, Sophia, like I didn't skip a beat. It felt so comfortable. The sets are amazing. The lair looks exactly like it did in our original show.
I had chills
Um,
seeing the
yeah,
layer for the first time.
the writers get the world of the show in a new story looking forward. There's funny recalls to characters and situations. My character is wonderfully written as the abuelita Teresa. I love it. It felt great, felt comfortable. I felt confident because they know what they're doing. The kids are so talented, just like our kids were talented on our show. It's a great group of people, and I'm so happy that the audiences are loving it.
And I want you to tell me about kind of that first conversation you had, probably with Selena and David, about bringing Wizards back, because obviously revivals and, you know, all the reboots, everything like that, certain cast members don't always come back. Sometimes they want to leave that stuff in the past. So
Right.
it's been an instant yes for you to come back. I know I was talking to David kind of about how not everyone wants to acknowledge those sort of roles and like, oh, I want to break away from that. I want to break, but it's such a beloved show. Those are such beloved characters. So tell me a little bit about those conversations that you had about hearing it was coming back and the guest starring role for you, obviously.
Well, after years of being approached every single day of my life by
Right.
fans who love the show and praise the show and have such affection for my character, I'm so touched by it. They would also say, "Will there be a reboot? Will there be a sequel, a reboot? Are you guys going to get together? Is there a reunion?" And we would talk about it and we would fantasize about it and we were all like gung ho for it. Um, so it was David Henry who reached out to me through text and let me know that stuff was happening. And oh my gosh, I was like, what? It's happening for real? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I can't believe it. Oh my goodness. I was like, because it doesn't always happen, obviously, with a lot of shows that people want to return. So I was thrilled, and David invited us to the producer's run through of the pilot. And when I saw that and saw how beautifully written it was, how funny it was, how talented the new kids were, I loved the idea of it moving into the future. Um, and the newness of it was really cool. To see David and Selena as adults, an adult Justin and an adult Alex in the pilot relating to each other was so cool to see and so touching for me. Um, so then when I got to come back as Teresa, it was familiar and wonderful, but also challenging because it's a new season of her life as a grandma. So she's got to be a little bit hands off, a little bit more relaxed because I'm not the parent, I'm the grandparent. So it was fun, and it's going to be even more fun uh, if and when I get to do even more episodes because um, it's a great it's a great situation to play. The challenge of how much say do I get as the grandparent? How can I boss my son around and correct things I think are wrong? Um, you know, my being immortal with Giada being immortal was very cool. You know, we have scenes where we talk about that and the challenges of that, and they're very touching scenes and beautiful scenes and so much heart. So it's fun and wonderful, and I can't wait to do more of it.
Yeah. And I actually, you led me in my next question beautifully because that was a scene I wanted to ask you about that heart to heart moment. I just felt like it was such a big obviously Teresa's dealt with this, but I felt like it was such a big moment for her too to like be able to pass her wisdom that she's learned from the first Wizards on to Giada and like you having that scene with Mimi. Can you tell me about what that meant for you, like personally, to have that moment? Because it just felt so significant to me as a fan of the original and as a fan of your character and you.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you loved it. I love doing it. I love that they thought of it. Just the general dynamic of a daughter-in-law feeling like she's got to impress the mother-in-law, live up to something. That pressure in general is there for a lot of young women. So it was really cool for them to write Teresa in such a way that she has so much grace for her daughter-in-law, especially because we're both the only mortals in the show. Uh,
Yeah.
so so it was great. I added something to that scene, which I think
Oh,
fans
you
will
gotta
enjoy.
tell me. What did you add? Okay, you
Well,
got
the way, well, let's not give it away, but the way I address her at the end is
yes. Oh
is
my
something that
gosh.
is something that I added that I thought, and of course the writers embraced it. They loved it, and David loved it, and I think it's sweet, and um, yeah, I think that you know. Again, I think one of the special sauces for why Wizards is such a successful show is because amongst the fun special effects, the zaniness, the humor, there was always a lot of genuine heart. And that moment where I'm basically saying to Giada, I'm here for you and you don't have to be perfect. And it's just really something a lot of people can identify with. And it's exciting to see it going forward, how they relate.
Yeah. Well, knowing you added, I know exactly what you're talking about. Knowing you added that just made my heart so happy. So I just had to say that to you. Amazing. I love that you added that in. But obviously, you were kind of saying this in the beginning, but Wizards was such a special show. And, you said you had fans coming up to you. When you were on that show, I know you probably had the fan response then, but did you know it was going to be lasting like this? Like, I imagine it's so rewarding to see your work not only live on with the generation, because I still watch reruns whenever I can, it brings me back, but new generations. And now this show getting new generations. It's that I feel like family shows are very underrated in the fact that they really are passed down and they really are lasting.
Yeah.
Me a little bit about what it's meant to you to see your character, the show, live on, now a new generation being brought in,
Oh
all
my
of that
God.
amazing stuff.
It's amazing. It's amazing to see that something is frozen in time, like many wonderful shows and movies, or songs. I hear a song that I heard when I was in third grade, and it's just something of beauty and wonder can be captured and re-experienced later in life. The next generation, the generation after that, is just, no pun intended, magical. It's magical. So I knew that it was a great show, and our producers of the original called us into the office, I think after our first Emmy, and just reminded us, hey, enjoy this right now because it doesn't always happen. And David and I, who are the more seasoned actors since we were the parents, we were aware of that. We've done enough pilots that didn't get picked up or shows that got canceled to know when you're on something that is a hit. And we went on to win 3 Emmys too, which is amazing, is a special, wonderful thing. So they reminded us, hey, enjoy it because it doesn't always happen. And the kids were like, okay, okay. And so I knew it was special because it worked. People loved it, but I had no idea that 10 years later, these fans that were children at the time that are adults now would come up to me and
Yeah.
weep about the show. And I'll say to them, oh, and I'll hug them and I'll say, I understand. It reminds you of who you were then. And they say, yeah, but not just that. You guys, I love you guys. And I was like, oh my gosh, that says so much about the writing, about the characters, and about our cast that they really bonded with us. And it's such an amazing gift to have as an actor to be part of something so special. I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to God for this blessing because as an actor, we want opportunities, we want jobs, and we always want more. And not every actor gets to have at least one character that is such a special character in a special show that has such lasting longevity. But I've gotten to do it a couple of times, more than a couple, and it's really wonderful. And with Teresa, it's just incredible that I get to do it again. So it means a lot to me that fans come up and say, I'm showing my son the show, the original, and we're watching the sequel together. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's wonderful and exciting, and a testament to Selena and David, and of course, Gary Marsh and Scott and Jed, who are executive producers who made it happen again.
Yeah.
Because it obviously it's not easy because it took 10 years for it to actually happen. It was just like a fantasy, and then it started becoming a reality and a beautiful vision. So I love doing it again.
We love having you. And, one of the things for me, obviously, like I kind of said before, when I saw the layer for the first time on the show, I got absolute chills. I just felt like crying. I was like, oh my God, I needed this in my adult years. And seeing obviously you, David, everyone come back, Selena, I want to ask for your next appearance. Who would you like to act alongside from the original cast that you haven't gotten to do yet? Who would you like to kind of have Teresa reunite with?
Well, I don't have like any intimate scenes, like one-on-one scenes with with Justin and Alex.
I know.
I haven't
I
had that yet. So I hope to have that. I love that I had it with Giada. It's wonderful. Um, but all the things that I'm thinking, all the pride that I have for them, all the love that I have for them, I kind of I want to say it to them. To especially to Justin, because he's the lead of the show, he's the patriarch of the show. Um, and to Selena too, to Alex. I want to talk to her a little bit more, have more scenes with her. That would be really, really special.
You want to make me cry, is what you're
Ah,
saying. I get it,
yes.
Maria. You want me to cry more than I already do with this show. It's fine. Totally good. I need it. So tell David and Selena they got to get on that. And was there a prop in any of the, obviously, I'm sure you got, even though we didn't get scenes of you in the layer, I'm sure you got to go in and
Yeah,
reminisce all that fun stuff. Is
yeah.
there something that you were most excited to see like back?
Well, in the original show, they just used a big, thick, beautiful old book.
Oh my
And it
God.
was an old vintage Bible. And
Oh,
I thought, oh my gosh, this is so cool. This will ward off any evil that we that we might inadvertently have a spell for. But it was really beautiful. And I kind of wish I didn't even think of asking for that. Or there was like some scales, like weights, like vintage weights. There's a lot of like vintage props that I do have from the original show, the beautiful lime green umbrella holder from the living room.
oh
And
yes.
and I have the fish oven mitt. It was shaped like a fish.
Yes.
And of course, Wizards of Waverly Place apron that I wore in one of my TikToks. And you know
Yeah.
what's so funny? I didn't even do it on purpose. I just grabbed the apron from the drawer, and it was a wizard one because I use these things, and I was thinking I shouldn't use it because if I get it dirty or like I already think I burned a little bit of the mitt, but that's the joy of it, using it. I use my wedding china. That's why so many of it is chipped. Like I believe in enjoying these things, not just putting them away. So yeah, I have a lot of nostalgia for the props because there's so many beautiful old props. Like when I sat I went into the castle, the where the tribunal goes,
Yes.
and I sat on the chairs and I looked at the paintings, the old paintings, and I touched the walls. Like I love experiencing beautiful sets, especially sets of shows that I'm such a part of. They mean so much to me. Uh, I remember hanging out in the lair and resting on the couch, which is not comfortable, but not at all comfortable, but it's gorgeous to look at with the red velvet and oh, it's just so cool.
Maria, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. It was such a pleasure speaking with you. And thank you for the many years of happiness you have brought me personally. And now new generations.
Thank you, Sophia. My absolute pleasure.
I hope to see you on my screen again very soon.
Me too. Thank you.
Professional artists and professors. Maybe a nerd who's just like you, talking about the things that you like too. So I invite you to the NOC. In full color, you see me. The Hard Knock